This is the third and last part of Rare Earth by NotebookLM and La Compagnie des ethnographes. We'll talk about innovation, alternative materials and technologies, finding solutions and making progress, with a final word on conscious consumption, without sulking on the American optimism.
So we've talked about responsible sourcing and the fight against illegal mining, but let's shift gears a bit and talk about innovation. What are some of the most promising advancements happening in this area?
Well, one area that holds a lot of promise is the development of alternative materials.
Okay, so rather than just trying to find more rare earths, we're also looking at ways to maybe not need them as much.
Exactly. It's about finding innovative solutions that can decouple technological progress from our dependence on these finite resources.
And are there any promising alternatives out there?
There are researchers and engineers are constantly exploring new materials and designs that can either reduce our reliance on rare earths or eliminate the need for them altogether.
So it's like a two-pronged approach, trying to find more sustainable ways to get the materials we need, but also looking for ways to do without them.
Right. And one of the sources we looked at mentioned the use of bacteria for bioleaching.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that. Can you explain a little bit more about how that works?
Sure. So essentially, certain types of bacteria have the ability to extract rare earth elements from ore through a natural chemical process.
Wow, so they're like little miners.
They are, and it's a potentially revolutionary approach that could significantly reduce the environmental impact of mining and make extraction more efficient.
It's amazing what they can do with bacteria these days.
It's a testament to the incredible power of nature and the ingenuity of scientists who are finding ways to harness these natural processes for our benefit.
So it seems like there's a lot of hope on the horizon.
Yeah.
Between recycling alternative materials and innovative extraction methods, we might be able to move toward a more sustainable and equitable approach to rare earth elements.
I agree, there are certainly challenges ahead, but the combination of technological advancements, growing awareness, and consumer demand for ethical practices is creating a powerful force for positive change.
It's a reminder that while the situation might seem daunting at times, we have the power to shape the future through our choices and actions.
Absolutely. The future of rare earths, and indeed the future of our planet, depends on our collective commitment to responsible innovation, ethical sourcing, and sustainable practices.
It's pretty amazing, when you think about it, all these connections, all these different factors that come into play when we talk about rare earths.
Yeah, it really is. It's like we've been on this journey, kind of peeling back the layers of this onion. And
right.
It's so much bigger than just, some obscure elements on the periodic table.
Yeah, and it really highlights, how much we rely on these things without even realizing it.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Everything from our smartphones and computers to the cars we drive, the energy we use, even on national security, it all ties back to rare earths in some way.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing when you stop and think about it. And one of the things that's become really clear is that, this dependence on rare earths has created some serious challenges.
Right, like the fact that China has such a dominant position in the market. That's a big one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it raises all these questions about supply chain vulnerabilities and the potential for, economic or political leverage.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for other countries to, diversify their supply chains and find ways to become less reliant on China.
Right. It's about, spreading the risk and creating a more resilient system.
Exactly. And we're seeing some progress on that front. Countries like Australia and Vietnam are stepping up their rare earth production, and the U.S. is trying to, revive its domestic industry.
Right. It's a slow process, but it's happening.
It is. And it's not just about finding more rare earths. It's also about using what we have more wisely and responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't just keep digging up the planet without thinking about the consequences.
Right. And, we talked earlier about the ethical concerns surrounding mining practices in some parts of the world.
Yeah, the situation in the DRC is really troubling.
It is. And it highlights the need for greater transparency and accountability in these global supply chains.
Yeah, we need to know where these materials are coming from and how they're being extracted.
Exactly. And consumers have a role to play here, too.
Yeah.
By demanding more ethical sourcing practices from the companies they support.
So it's not just about, governments and corporations. It's about individual consumers making conscious choices.
It is. And we're seeing a real shift in consumer awareness.
Yeah.
People are starting to care more about where their products come from and how they're made.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because when consumers start demanding change, companies have to listen.
Exactly. And it's not just consumers either. We're seeing more and more companies taking the initiative and adopting more sustainable and responsible
That's
practices.
good to hear.
Yeah, they're investing in technologies that minimize environmental impact. They're exploring ways to reclaim and recycle rare earths, and they're working to improve working conditions in their supply chains.
So this sounds like there's some positive momentum building.
There is, and it's a reminder that even in the face of these complex challenges, we can make progress.
Yeah, it's about finding solutions that work for everyone,
Yeah,
for people, for the planet, and for the economy.
exactly. And speaking of solutions, one of the most exciting areas of development is in the field of innovation.
Oh, yeah, we talked a little bit about that earlier.
Right, with things like alternative materials and new extraction methods like bioleaching.
Yeah, that stuff is really fascinating.
It is, and it's really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And the ultimate goal is to, find ways to decouple our reliance on rare earths from the potential negative consequences.
Exactly. We need to find ways to meet our technological needs without damaging the environment or exploiting people.
Right. It's about finding that balance,
Yeah,
between progress and sustainability.
exactly. And that's why this whole conversation about rare earth is so important.
Huh.
It's not just about some obscure elements, it's about the future of our planet and the well-being of humanity.
Yeah, it's a much bigger picture than most people realize.
It is. And so as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the key takeaway is that we all have a role to play in shaping that future.
Yeah, it's not just about governments or corporations. It's about each and every one of us making conscious choices and demanding better from the systems we're a part of.
Exactly. And by working together, we can create a future where technology and innovation are used to benefit all of humanity and protect our planet.
It's a hopeful message, and I think it's a really important one. So thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. It's been an incredibly insightful conversation.
It has been, and thank you for having me.
And to everyone listening out there, thanks for tuning in. And remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged because the future is in our hands.